welcome. Nice to have you with us on a Wednesday afternoon on this 7th day of March, 2017. Hi, everybody. Yours truly, Christopher Russo, broadcast day. Nice to have you aboard here on the great SiriusXM 82. 888 Mad Dog 6 is your two-way sports talk telephone numbers. We talked about what's going on as far as the world of sports is concerned on our busy day with our good buddy Eddie Erickson today. Colin Schmeling today right until 6 in the east, 3 in the west as we babble away. Well, you know what? Let's start here. John Beeline will join us today. He, of course, the Michigan head coach, a conversation. We look forward to that a little later on. Let's start here because I've been looking around for something to watch, and I told you that Michigan-Purdue game on Sunday I had issues with. Not issues. I just didn't notice all the enthusiasm. Iona had done a good job in their conference tournament. A lot of the games last night were not very good. I'm trying to think if South Dakota State and South Dakota, and I mean, you really got to be you got to be Steve Torrey to get into that. So, there were some, and obviously the Syracuse was up comfortably last night. Big game for them against Wake Forest, and the two games in the afternoon, and what have you. So I was looking for something last night, and one thing I ran into was Rolly Massimino, a Fox Sports 1 deal on Rolly's last year. At least that's what I saw, last half hour of it, which is quite good. On his last year there at Kaiser Tech down in South Florida. But what I really caught on last night that I wanted to get to for a minute is the College of Charleston. I know this is wacky to begin a program like this, but on the heels of the FBI and, Patino and Sean Miller and Defiance and the mess of college TBS with the way they're going to broadcast it on Sunday afternoon, it was sort of refreshing to see a game last night where a team really, who hadn't been in the tournament in a long time, 18 years, a team that last year played in their conference final that lost to UNC Wilmington, whose coach went to NC State, who's losing right now by 9 to Boston College. And I'm down on the NC State coach anyway for what he did there against Clemson, asking his fans to stand up and cheer when Clemson was trying to make free throws to tie the game up. It was about a second left earlier in the year. But regardless of that, I remember the game last year with Charleston when they lost to UNC Wilmington. I had visited Charleston. We did that big show on it. You remember that with Tim? When he was going to go there. We had a good show on that. Went down to Charleston about a year ago at this time. So, I've had a little... not that I know anything about the team, but I have there's a little bit of a common, University of Tampa, the game's on TV. I did not, I saw Tampa play, but I did not get a chance, to see them, at the end, in big games later on in the year, Division II basketball, and I had a bad year anyway. But Charleston, I happened to run into last night in the second half. They were down 17, and I happened to watch this game in the last 5 minutes of regulation, and then I watched the game in overtime, where they came back and they beat Northeastern, and I'm telling you right now, I haven't seen a school respond with as much enthusiasm, fans included, in an arena 10 miles from campus, which is an advantage. Now, they were the best regular season team in that Colonial, so it's not as outrageous as normally some of these advantages are. But from a standpoint of what I saw last night, I was so into watching Charleston on CBS Sportsnet, a channel that nobody ever finds. I could not believe the amount of enthusiasm they had of winning this game. Now, listen, I get it. They haven't been there in 20 years, and, for Charleston, this is a great week. We all know that John Kress was there. He of Louis Carnesecca fame at St. John's. He built the program and everything else. Matter of fact, Bobby Clemens went there for a little while, did he not? Later on. So to see them react, and it was a great finish. They were way down. They came from behind, won the regular season championship. Northeastern's a pretty good team, has a great guard who scored a ton of points, and it's just a heck of a win for College of Charleston. So last night was in a lot of ways the first night that I really got in to what this week is, and these 10 days are for college basketball, where you actually saw something that, why the tournament's got that life to it. Now, again, I think when you play your conference tournament near a campus and you have the home fans there and the building isn't empty and there's some enthusiasm and everybody's got a little bit of a rooting interest, it's got a little bit more of a home and away feel. I think that adds to it. I think the one bid league obviously adds a lot to it, but that campus last night in that arena, in the North Charleston Arena, had a lot of life, and that is the moment that in 2018 I probably found myself in to the NCAA tournament. All right, Wagner and LIU, all right. I can give you these other Gonzaga and BYU. BYU loses again by a bunch. They're out. Okay, Cleveland State losing to Wright State. Okay, they're out. But this game last night, for whatever the reason, and I think it's because the crowd was so into it and the way they I was afraid somebody was going to get hurt. The way they charged the floor, the head coach of Charleston was really into it. His kid there. It was really quite a scene. And their best player has been there for 4 years. He's a senior, Joe Cleary. So I really had a lot of life as far as Charleston is concerned. So they're in the tournament. And that league's a dangerous league now. That league's won games. VCU obviously won games. Wilmington has been dangerous. That league, our old buddy Wainwright, that league can be trouble, can be a pain in the neck. So keep that in mind. When you see them seated probably on the 11 or 12 line, maybe even 13 sometime on Sunday night. All right, that's the first thing. So then I was looking for something today to gravitate to, and I have kind of found Boston College. I am down on NC State. I can't deal with them. The coach bothered me, so I got to have something, a reason to root against somebody. So that's the reason. What he did against Clemson was weak and, just not the proper thing to do. So I root against him. And BC right now had a pretty good year. I saw BC beat Duke at least about the last 5-6 minutes in early January at the Conte Forum. So I have a little more understanding of BC than normal. And BC currently right now here against NC State, the second game of this tournament today, they have a lead by 11 against the Wolfpack. So a good performance as far as NC State is concerned, as far as Boston College is concerned, leading. Now, listen, they're going to have to win the tournament. They have to get into a situation where they're going to have to win 3 more games if they somehow hold on and win this one. But they do play Clemson tomorrow. That's not impossible. They're in the Virginia half of the bracket. Duke and Carolina are down below. So it's an opportunity that, looking for a team in a big tournament that needs a lot of wins and win the whole thing that I can gravitate to. I found a little guy, and now I'll find a big guy. So that's number 2. And then number 3, I'll throw this out there, and it's fun. I wake up this morning, and obviously I'm texting our staff to make sure that everybody's organized to get to work with the snow and everything. So I texted Schmeling, and I texted Bill Zimmerman, and Tori was still asleep. I woke him up, but it was about 7:30, but I got a hold of him too. And then I called Eddie and made sure he was all set. And then Eddie texted me back, and let me make sure I get the name right. And you can play that song anytime you want, Carl. I'll make sure I get the name right because I don't want to screw it up, which is fascinating. So the name is, and we talked to him, is Robert Greenhut. All right, now who is Robert Greenhut, you say? Well, Robert Greenhut is a New Yorker who is a movie producer. And Robert Greenhut, among other things, worked with Mike Nichols on 1 million movies as an executive. This guy's a big guy. Got 100 films to his credit. This is a huge guy. And lo and behold, he texted through Andy Roth, who's a guy in Buffalo who I used to work with. How do I track down Christopher Russo? Well, he did through Eddie Erickson, who somehow didn't screw up the email. And he says to me today, I try and listen to your show when I can. I live in L.A. now, and I feel the New York-centric vibe, which whenever I have your show on, it makes me feel I'm still close to the OWFAN days. I was listening the very first day FAN went on the air. No one wasn't sure an all-sports station would even work, and now look. And, of course, I was listening through all the years with Mike. Likes the show, 9 yards, I won't tell you that part. And then he says, as a filmmaker who has worked on over 90 films, producing most of them, I wanted to thank you for your kind words about the film Working Girl. I've heard you refer to it several times and even utilized Carly Simon's theme music during station breaks. I produced that film in '88 with Big in the same year. That's a good year for 20th Century Fox for me. Mike Nichols is a great guy to work with, and I miss him terribly. I did 5 of the films with him, and you can check me up online, blah, 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 among other things. So how about that? We still have a little juice on little old SiriusXM. Do we not? We continue.